Would you like to not only thrive, but thrive on purpose? Then this podcast is for you, inspiring you to embark on a transformational journey. Your host is Elena, and she's looking forward to enabling you to thrive on purpose. Hi Elena, why thrive on purpose?
Hi Paul, that's really a great question, thank you. Thrive on purpose is not thriving deliberately, which on purpose often means, but thriving true to your purpose.
Okay, so what does thrive on purpose mean if you expand that out?
Yeah, I will first explain about thriving. We're all meant to thrive. It's natural for us. However, we're not aware of it because our upbringing, our belief system is like we need to strive, to fight, to compete in order to survive and eventually succeed in life.
And when were you first made aware of that?
Actually, it was 2010 when I went through a big transformation in my life, and this was the first moment when I could spend some time reflecting on what the purpose of my life is, what happiness is, how can I make a palpable impact in the world, and this is where it started for me.
And that led you to a journey, I guess, and you're doing some research, and what did you discover?
Yes, actually, this is when the journey started. But then I had an aha moment in 2013 when I read the book of Kurt Wright, Breaking the Rules. And this is where, for the first time, I realized, or I saw another point of view, if I may say, that thriving is natural, not surviving. Or as Kurt Wright explained it, is to be on a roll, to perform effortlessly. And I liked the idea so much. I got obsessed from it to the point that I read the book 5 times. And this set me on a journey where I became a researcher, and I started to research thriving. I started to dive deeper into this topic, and this is where I am.
Is it typical that it's an aha moment that you had, or is that, as I said, is that typical, or would the listeners perhaps have a different experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. Actually, yes and no. I believe in aha moments, and as I'm executive leadership coach myself, and I work with lots of leaders, they have a lot of aha moments and insights. But the thing is, how do you act on these insights? What steps do you take? Because this is the journey. This is what sets you on a transformational journey. And if you ask me for what I believe myself, based on my story and my experience, I believe in the journey. I believe that we need to wholeheartedly commit to that inner work, to understand ourselves, to realize what is our true essence, our core. And from there, what is our purpose? Why we're here on that world? What are we meant to do?
So this is where the purpose part comes in, and how critical that is.
It is. I do believe it is, because I do believe, and it's not only my belief, but it's based on my research, that purpose, clarity on purpose, and wholehearted commitment are interconnected. And when life sets us on a journey, we have a lot of roadblocks. And only when we are passionate, and only when we have clarity on what our purpose is, what our impact in the world is, we can go through these hurdles and continue with, inspiration and faith. So I truly believe in the journey.
So how does one be led to what one's purpose is? It's not always obvious, is it?
No. Actually, that's the most difficult question. But you know what, Paul? What I noticed during this COVID crisis was that many people I work with started to ask themselves these important questions. And during this last year, the topic on purpose has been one of the most exciting topic and the most demanded, if I may say so, topic from my clients.
Yes, and I think in the COVID period, many people have unfortunately felt negative influences, and perhaps, do you see it then rather as an opportunity for a reset? Perhaps this is a good opportunity coming out of COVID to be in touch with your purpose.
I believe so. I would like to be the case. I don't know if the people who I work with are the majority. I believe they're maybe the minority. But I do believe that at some point in time, hopefully sooner than later, there will be a tipping point when people will realize that life is much bigger and is much more than what we currently experience. And they will understand that we're meant to thrive, not to survive.
So is this podcast series hoping to unlock listeners the mysteries of where they might wish to go? They know something could be better than what they're experiencing right now. They're not sure how to grab something. And is that what you're hoping to achieve in this podcast series?
I do hope to achieve that. And I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. So I truly believe that I will attract the right listeners who are ready to listen themselves, to listen deep within, to connect with their core essence and to embark on that journey to thrive on purpose. And my role here my purpose is to inspire them and to help them in that journey.
And I think we all know the difference innately between thriving and not thriving, what that difference in experience is. We all love that feeling. Sometimes it may be difficult to describe it, but we know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a feeling. It's an experience. And I call this the Thrive space. And it's an inner space. It's a feeling which we experience when we are into that state of thriving.
And in your experience, is that fleeting, or is it something that can be more sustainable?
It can be sustainable, and it requires wholehearted commitment to that inner work. And when I say wholehearted commitment, I mean that you do this inner work on a daily basis. So then the more you do that work, the more stable you become, and the more you can thrive on purpose. Because actually the inner work is the one that brings us to ask ourselves these deep questions and to hopefully discover our purpose in life.
You talk about the inner work, doing it each day. Can you give us a taste of what that means? Is that spending periods in silence or meditating, or does it vary from person to person? Is it unique to each individual, or are there some clues that you can give in this opening podcast?
I believe it's unique for each person, and you tapped on being in the present moment, and that's the most difficult thing to be achieved, especially for the contemporary person, right? Because we're so used to this busyness, and we identify ourselves with doing versus being. And being is just experiencing what is happening in this present moment and appreciating it. Even if it's an unpleasant experience, you stay still with it and you get in touch with yourself and how you experience it. But to answer your question, I can give an example with my own inner work and what I deliberately do so that I can thrive on purpose is I have committed rituals every single day, including meditating, having space for myself, reading, nurturing myself in a different way, doing physical work, eating good and healthy food, communicating with people who inspire me, nurturing my closest relationships. So these are just examples about my consistent inner work.
Are you able to do that? And I'm sure it's the case for a lot of listeners. If you're so busy, you just feel you can't even find 10 or 15 minutes to stop and take stock. But are there things that you can do, or is it a matter of, even in those busy periods, being aware of that, almost as if you're observing it in a way?
I think busyness is an excuse, to be honest, because we all have on disposal the same hours, 24 hours, right? So it's up to us and what is important to us and what is our priority, how we'll spend this time. And I see that people who embark on that journey and they're serious about that inner work, the more time they spend doing the inner work, the more inspired they become, the more engaged into that work, is because they see obviously the results and the benefits. They become just more present, their brains work quicker, they take holistic decisions in life, they're more connected with others, because the more connected you are with yourself, the more connected you are with others, and you're capable of building sustainable and thriving relationships, and they just know. So basically that's an excuse. That's what I'm saying.
And we all know what good habits are, or I guess good, best practice. World's best practice is thrown around in the workplace as to how to achieve goals. So is this about developing mental habits or habits in the mind to improve one's performance?
Yeah, you can call them mental habits as well. It doesn't matter how we're going to label this. What is important is the essential work we do. And it's disciplining our minds to think useful thoughts, if I may say. I wouldn't say positive or negative, because this is very subjective, but what works for us, what supports our health, what supports our own thriving, because as we said, thriving is an inner space, a feeling space. It's an experience. And the more we experience that inner thriving space, the healthier, the happier, and more successful we'll be in life.
You mentioned the word purpose before. Is that, how vital is that if someone is trying to do inner work, or is doing the inner work, that they latch onto that core purpose, if we come back to that, because there'll be listeners out there that say, look, I'd like to do inner work, but I really don't know what to focus on.
Yeah, it's very normal at the beginning of that journey to be confused and to not have clarity where to start from. That's why coaches exist, and they can help people who want to embark on that journey and do the inner work to guide them through that journey. I was confused myself at the beginning. So as I mentioned, it started in 2010. So I'm already 11 years on that journey, and I have been building on this. And what I noticed was that the more I was opening up to this inner experience, the more interesting and inspirational people I was meeting in my life. And they were my teachers, and they were my mentors. So I do believe that when you're open, when you plant the right seeds, then these seeds will sprout and they will blossom and they will thrive.
Yes, as you said before, Elena, that when the pupil is ready or the student is ready, the teacher will come. And I think what you're suggesting is that if you're open to those good seeds flourishing and thriving, then the right people and the right experiences you will attract them.
Yeah, you will attract them naturally. I wouldn't go deeper into attraction and how does this work, because it's a big part of the topics I'm going to discuss during this podcast. But it's all about energy. And there is a core principle, which I love to say, this is the quantum principle. Energy attracts like energy. Love attracts love. Hatred attracts hatred. It's very simple. And I think that a huge part of the coaching work is to make the complex situations really simple.
You spoke about energy. I remember Oprah Winfrey's last episode, the amazing shows she used to do. In her last episode, she said one of the kind of mantras she goes by is she's, when people are saying things, she says, "Don't bring your negative energy into my space. Don't bring it into my space." She really believed in wanting to keep positive energy around her, and that how important that was for her, and that she recognized negative energy very quickly.
Yeah, you feel it. It's vibration. Even if we don't speak the same language, you can feel the energy of the other person. You can feel what's happening in that space. So to elaborate on what you just said with Oprah's words is how we manage our boundaries, which situations or people we allow in our own space, because this affects us. And negative energy drains us. It's deviating us from what is purposeful in life. And what I find is many people have issues managing their boundaries, setting healthy boundaries, or as I say to my clients, just say beautiful no's. It's a skill you need to learn, you need to master.
Yes, because sometimes saying no doesn't come across as beautiful to the recipient.
It depends. Yeah. It depends on how we deliver the message, and that's a skill. And many people cannot deliver the message. They don't know how, because they're not in touch with themselves as well.
Is that something you'll be able to help people with in this series?
Sure, of course, absolutely. And maybe a topic on managing boundaries and setting healthy boundaries would be very interesting for our listeners.
And of course, that happens not only in the workplace, but in relationships as well. You feel, I'm not sure about that. It bothers me, but I'll let that slide, and I won't bring it up now. And then sometimes, later on, it can become a larger problem than it needed to be.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I guess the root of this behavior is fear. We all want to belong and to feel loved, and when you have something different you want to share or you want to do that is different from perhaps what your partner expects, then you're afraid that if they do not agree with you, you might be rejected and you lose this sense of belonging and being loved and nurtured. But that's not true. You know what fear is? False evidence appearing real. Fear is just a story we create in our heads, in our minds, but that's not reality. It's about developing these life skills which we unfortunately don't learn early in life. And if you develop these life skills, you can navigate with grace in each situation in life. Basically, you can make a complex situation a very simple one. But you need to be really well connected with yourself. You need to understand yourself. You need to learn to love yourself so that you can be able to navigate in complex life situations.
That's right. I guess if you're in tune with your purpose, it's easier to set boundaries. So part of the Thriving on Purpose series would be to helping one discover what one's purpose is. And then it's a little easier to set boundaries because you're recognizing behavior that's not consistent with that. So you need to get the cart before the horse. You need to get the purpose right first before you start laying down the law on boundaries, let's say.
Yes, absolutely. And no, because not everyone is ready to discover their purpose. But a level below this is to discover your passion and to be true to your passion. Mm-hmm. Because first you need to understand what is really interesting for me, what is coming at ease, what am I skillful at. And then you build on this and it becomes your passion. And only when you're true to your passion, you can start a journey on discovering your purpose, which is a deeper layer and is going beyond self, because passion serves you well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it doesn't serve the society, it doesn't serve planet Earth. It's when you go beyond your self-interest.
What about if someone's got a passion and might be in music, let's say, but they really don't have the proficiency to make a living out of it? Where's this balance between my passion, because everyone says, well, the ultimate is if you discover your passion and get good at it and then you make a living out of it. But that's not necessarily true for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. It's very complex. If you can make your passion your profession, you can live with it. Yeah. To be honest, I'm lucky that my passion for people turned out to be my purpose, or to develop to be my purpose, and now I live it and I'm thriving on purpose. However, I think this example with musicians is a good one, because there are many talented people out there, but maybe the circumstances in life are, complicated and they cannot find their pathway. But you can still stay true to your passion, and you can do something that is meaningful and impact the world. I think it's very unique for each person. This is the ideal situation, if you can really discover your purpose and you can thrive on it. But as I said, not all of us are ready to do this. And I would say that as I have discussions with clients on purpose, not all of them have discovered their purpose. Now, I'm thinking of my current clients, and only 2 of them deliberately asked me, let's work on purpose. Help me to get in touch with my deeper self and discover my purpose. And I help them. Some of them have not discovered their purpose yet, okay? But they still can be happy, they still can thrive. However, the question is, how sustainable is this? What happens when we have a hurdle in life, when we have a roadblock? I'm not sure. Because I do believe that our wholehearted commitment to life goes hand in hand with our purpose.
Yes, and even if someone can't make a livelihood out of their passion, there could be music, but hobbies are still an important part. Finding time for things you are passionate about, even if your job may be a little mundane, that's still very important to feeling good about your life and thriving, I guess.
Yes, because they bring the best out of you. This is where you're completely present. When you do what you love, you are present. You forget about everything. And if this is the way to manage the complexity of life and stress, then do it more often. Because the better you feel, the better you are for yourself and for the people around you.
And did you have an experience where you had a career change because you felt you weren't completely in touch with your purpose at some point, and you felt, this is not for me anymore, the job that I'm doing, and I need to reset in some way, and you went through that inner work yourself?
Yes. Actually, this happened in 2013, when I really started to be exhausted from my current position.
What was that?
I was a CEO of a hospital and a clinical research center, and I realized that I'm drained and I was not enjoying what I was doing, because I was kind of detached from people, helping people to grow and inspiring them where I felt I'm at my best. And my CEO position, which was very strategic, was putting me aside of what I was really passionate of. And then I needed to make a major shift in my career. And I was very open, and I met the right person, who is my current mentor. And she really helped me to get in touch with my passion, with my heart. And this set me on a journey to become a coach. And I just channeled all my strengths and passion into a profession. And I'm super grateful that what I'm doing is actually aligned with my true essence.
Was that before you read the book on Kurt Wright, or around the same time?
Around the same time.
Okay.
Because when I did my research and I found my coaching school.
Where was that?
This was in 2013.
And where was the school?
In the United States. I was admitted to study in one of the best schools, coaching schools. It's called Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. Its headquarters is in New Jersey. However, I studied in London. This was their European base. Yeah. So this was one of the most exciting and transformational experiences in my life. And I'm super grateful that I found this institute, that I graduated. I'm super proud of it, and I met wonderful people there who still support me in my journey.
Is that because they were like-minded people, and are you still friends with some of those people?
Yes, sure. Because we came there to work on ourselves and to.
Were they in the same position? You felt like a little bit they were looking for a reset, and they felt this.
Exactly, absolutely, and they were coming from different professions, different walks of life. I met very interesting people, and many of them progressed on purpose. They thrive on purpose.
And so there must have been an amazing experience. And I guess at that time it was a relatively new industry as well, the industry of coaching in the leadership workplace. But now it's much more common and in vogue.
Yeah, it's growing actually. I read statistics that in the coming years, coaching industry will be the second biggest industry after IT. The question is, why do people need this profession nowadays? Obviously, if it's growing, there is need. Obviously, people are craving to connect with themselves, to develop themselves, right? So I do believe that coaching profession is very important for us to reset the world, if I may say so, to make this world a better place. Because if out there are more people who are happy, who are thriving, who have discovered their purposes or at least their passions, and they navigate with love and gratitude in their lives, then this planet will be a better place.
Yes, I'm curious about the methodology of that, because I come from the sports industry where coaches tend to, tell athletes what to do, and sometimes quite harsh, and it's a little bit. I know you lecture as well, so is it more of a lecturing type relationship, or when you talk about the inner work, what is the process or the methodology you're talking about? Because as a former athlete, I'm used to a little bit being told what to do, and sometimes instructing people that way. Is in your experience in the coaching industry, which way did it send you in terms of your relationship with the student when the student is ready?
Yeah, that's a great question, because many people out there don't know what coaching really is. They think of coaching is that someone just gives you an advice. But we have a saying in our coaching profession that we are experts in coaching process, and the client is the expert of their life.
Uh-huh.
So actually what we do is just to create the right environment, and first and foremost, a trustworthy relationship where the clients can be honest with themselves, and we're just witnessing their process of self-reflection, and we're navigating them through certain techniques to get to their inner selves and find their own answers. So what I think is that in sports industry, it's not coaching, it's mentoring.
That will be a shock to the sports industry.
Yeah, maybe.
You have just seen the Euros in football. There's a lot of coaches and managers yelling at the players. That's not what you're talking about.
No. Mentoring is basically teaching, giving hints, Mentors are also role models. That's very important. They have walked through that journey, and we all need good mentors. And to be honest, in what I do, sometimes I'm a mentor when the clients need me to be a mentor.
So what is the difference between a coach and a mentor
The coach is helping the client to find their own answers.
Right.
Mainly through deep listening, intuitive listening, and based on this, asking them empowering questions. And of course, there are other techniques, but this is the foundation. Whereas in mentoring, you basically give advice.
Sounds like I was only a mentor in my sport. And I was called a coach, but I was actually a mentor. So that's okay. Mentor's fine.
As I said, we all need great mentors. And mentor coaching is okay. I can say for myself that I would prefer 80% of the time to coach and maybe 20% to mentor.
But that's when you've got a deep, probably a client that you've engaged and you've got that relationship. But for the listeners on this podcast series, will you be giving them hints more in a coaching sense or in a mentoring sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. I will have 2 types of podcasts. One type of podcast will be when I will be having conversations with inspirational people. And it will be a dialogue, and people, of course, through listening can get their own insights and inspiration. And the other type of podcast where I will be sharing knowledge or passing knowledge on certain topics.
As a coach or a mentor?
When you pass knowledge, you're a teacher as well.
Yes.
Right? Because you just pass your knowledge, yes. Right? That's teaching. And it's different from mentoring. Because in order for you to be a mentor, I believe you need to have a dialogue, right? Where you elaborate on a certain topic, but when you teach or when you share knowledge, I would better say share knowledge, you just pass on that knowledge and people would take what they resonate with. And hopefully this is inspirational.
Also, I'm really looking forward to hearing some of the guests that you might have. What sort of industries will these guests be from? Are they all from the coaching industry, or they will be from all walks of life? Or what's your hope for this series?
I want to have diversity and invite inspirational leaders from all walks of life. And when I say leaders, I don't mean by all means formal leaders,
like
having
being
formal,
CEO, for example.
Yeah, leadership positions, but people who lead their life, who inspire others, because we're all leaders. And the question is how well we lead our own lives, our own families, our businesses. So I think I will have really diverse people and will draw upon their wisdom.
So is it about drawing out the inner wisdom and the inner leadership qualities of each one of us as part of the process to thriving? Is that what you're hinting at?
Absolutely. Spot on.
No, I'm just listening to what you're saying, but that's great news if everyone, because people out there think, well, I could never be a leader, I could never. But you said it so well when you said we are all the leaders of our own life. And I think that's a wonderfully empowering and reassuring concept to everyone, that I am important and I can be a leader.
Absolutely. Sure. I remember when I studied management in Open University, one of our first topic was leading yourself. So that's a major subject. If we cannot lead ourselves, how can we lead teams and big organizations? It's impossible.
But I'm sure some listeners are saying, I wouldn't know where to start to try and lead myself. Are these some of the subjects you will bring up in this podcast series? Or can you give a hint right now as to how someone could believe that they could possibly be even a leader of their own life because they've been told since they were a little kid, I just follow somebody, or you're not capable of being a leader, just because you get these lessons so early in life that you're not cut out to be a leader, you're not cut out to make it.
Yeah, that's very true. And these are all beliefs that come from our families. And unfortunately, this is how we build generation of kids that are not confident, that are fearful. And that's a very good topic, by the way. I didn't think about it. But definitely my passion is to work with young leaders and to help them build on their strengths and thrive. So perhaps that can be a topic as well. To be honest, the topics will naturally come. I have 10 episodes ahead in mind with quite interesting people. So I would prefer if I can have some dialogue with my listeners, and if they suggest topics that they're interested in, and I can develop topics on purpose.
But if you were to think of one hint you could give to someone who's listening right now, how could I imagine I could go on to a path of leading my own life in a better direction? What is the first thing they need to do to consider, well, perhaps there is a different way? I mean, what sort of inner work are you referring to, or is it just an awareness that is the start, but or accepting and not fighting where you are? I don't know. Or say, well, this is not for me. I mean, you don't understand. I'm struggling to make a living. I haven't got any savings. My wife or husband's, and we're struggling. Our children, we can't send them to the right school, etc., etc.
Well, there isn't a formula where you start and how you do that. As I said, each one of us is very unique. So I would say, let's have a conversation. If someone has a question, where do I start from? Call me. Let's have a conversation, and I can help you find where you can start from. And if you're really ready to commit on that journey, because it's about commitment. I mean, you cannot progress if you're not doing the work. That's what I say to my clients. I can choose to work with you only if you're open, if you're honest with yourself, and if you're ready to commit to actions.
So listeners would be able to have the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with you. That's possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. They will have my contact, so they can get in touch with me via email, and we can schedule a conversation.
Through your website. No, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, thrive on purpose. I just love the expression, because, it does seem to infer that you could do anything or love on purpose, but it's not that. It's on your purpose, and each purpose is unique to each individual, and it's fascinating. And at any age to just think about, if I had to think about what is my purpose, and I really had to. It's an interesting concept for anyone to think about, and what would I do about it if I really knew? It's fascinating in a way.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And I mean, is there a risk in saying, well, I really want to be true to my purpose? Is there a risk in that, or is that not a bad, or not? Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Risky in the sense of, well, imagine if I think about I want to change my career, or even a relationship that I'm maybe not happy in, that this isn't fulfilling, or if you are true to your purpose, is that reassuring in some way?
I don't know. What do you think? Is this a risk?
No, I just wonder. I think I heard Jay Shetty once say, and I don't know if he was quoting somebody else, but he said that if you protect your purpose will protect you, and that really resonated with me when I heard that. But do you subscribe to that?
Definitely. This is one of my mantras. When you protect your purpose will protect you. I really believe in that.
How does that happen?
First, you got to discover your purpose. Without knowing your purpose, how can your purpose protect you? And then trusting the journey, that when you work deliberately every single day, no matter what results you're getting, because sometimes it can be slow, you got to trust the process, then eventually the stars will align and you will be thriving on purpose. But meanwhile, you enjoy the journey. You embrace the present moment, no matter what it brings, with trust, with faith.
No, that's right. And I think that's right. It makes decision-making also a little... Well, it becomes not a decision, because the decision makes itself if it's consistent with your purpose.
Exactly. it's so easy and straightforward to take decisions when you know your purpose.
Wow. So
it simplifies it.
Okay. So now we're seeing why it's so important, because the pathway, it's written in the stars. The signposts are there in front of you. That's a feeling that I have when you're talking about this.
Yes, absolutely. You're really capable of picking my thoughts, and you're a great intuitive listener, I must admit.
Well, it's funny though, just having this conversation, it just makes me all the more clearer about wanting to be in touch with my purpose and wanting to stay on track with that. Because my experience has been that in the past that makes it easier. But the way that you're describing it, it gives me kind of like an aha moment. Of course. So thrive on and being on purpose. Then, of course, it's how to actually thrive and to be in that state or that space that you were talking about. And what is that space really like? And do you feel that there were times in life you were not in that space, and do you feel you're in that space now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I talked earlier about the Thrive space, and I said that this is an inner experience. It's a feeling experience. When you feel joy, excitement, love, when you trust yourself, trust people, trust life, that's how we feel. This is a state where we can really be in the present moment and perform effortlessly and be at our best. And of course, there is an opposite experience, and this is the experience when we're in the fog zone, as I say in my coaching program. So to make it simple, we're in the fog zone when we say that we are stressed. That's how we define it. When we're confused, we have no clarity, we have maybe fears, where we have low level of confidence, we are uncertain, we experience worry, we experience anger, frustration. So these are all emotions and feelings which are unhealthy. And of course, we all experience this. However, the more we work on ourselves, the more we can master these emotions, the more we can work with them and thrive on purpose, bring ourselves back into the Thrive space. So basically, we need to learn our own ways to cross that bridge, as I say, from the fog zone to the Thrive space, and deliberately spend more time in the Thrive space. Because if we do the inner work, if we know how to transition, how to cross that bridge, we can be able to stay more into the Thrive space. No matter that we'll experience hurdles in life and challenges, we all do. However, we will know how to transition these experiences into opportunities for growth, and we'll find meaning in these difficult moments in life.
I've always had a feeling, and it was something I kind of lived by, was to have one eye on the ball and the other eye on the summit. So kind of trying to live in two places. It was something that I just felt that worked for me. And this dynamic between focusing on the present and then also trying to have an idea where I may want to go, whether it's my career or relationships or whatever it is. And sometimes that's disconcerting, not knowing whether I'm focusing too much on now or too much on the future, or being unrealistic or having unrealistic goals. How do you find that balance?
I like your thought, keep one eye on the ball, one eye on the summit. So basically, this is summary of the work, to be honest, because when we have clear vision where we're going, this is to keep the eye on a summit, and that's our purposeful vision, then we can focus on it and we can manage with ease all of the distractions in life. On the other hand, for me, keeping an eye on the ball is being present, being in the present moment, and living to the fullest what life presents you now. even if it's a painful experience, because pain is inevitable in life. Suffering is optional. It's how we deal with the pain and how we let it, how we're having this relationship with the pain, how we let it settle, how we allow it to go through us. So it's basically mastering your life. When I come again to energy. When you learn to master your energy, you can master your life. So mastering your energy is mastering your life, because what is energy? Energy is vibration, and our emotions are energy in motion. So when we learn to transform our unhealthy emotions into joy and excitement and love, then we can thrive. Then we experience healthy emotions, and this is our own thrive space. Then we can be more creative, then we can express ourselves, then we can connect better, when we can set healthy relationships, etc.
Yes, and it's happened to me, and I'm sure it happened to many listeners, the idea of being passionate and then sometimes flashes of anger because it's not resonating properly. So how do you channel passion, or can you channel it, or is it because it can sometimes lead to, as I said, perhaps a flash of anger, which is probably not helpful.
When we're overexcited, which for me is when we're passionate, that's how I understand it, we can be flying above the clouds, if I may say so. And I experienced that a lot. It's better to have flashes of excitement and passions than flashes of anger, to be honest, because anger isn't healthy, right? So it's about learning to ground yourself. Either extremes are not healthy for a long time, I would say. So grounding for me is coming back to the present moment and find this inner stillness and peace where you have clarity of thought. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And Paul, I believe that education is important, but I do believe that the inner work is more important, because if you have the planet, let's say, crowded with highly educated people, but they haven't done their inner work, how will we make this world a better place? We need to nurture, to cultivate more love, more trust, more compassion, more empathy, so that this planet really continues to exist. We need to really raise the vibration of this planet. And I do believe that's the pathway. I really care about it. And that's why my purpose is to inspire more people, more leaders to thrive on purpose.
And, some listeners might say, I'm a type A personality. That's not for me. Maybe my partner or my HR director will be the person who has empathy with other employees and all those sorts of things. But do you think we can't pass the buck? Each of us should be trying to look inside if we can, because this resonation starts from there.
Yeah. Look, there is always an excuse. I do believe, based on the knowledge I've obtained from neuroscience and epigenetics, that we are not conditioned. We're not conditioned. We can all develop and evolve. We all have this capability to evolve, and we're just finding excuses. We have no time, or my personality is this or that. If we want to, we can. 100%. I'm very confident in it.
Have you had times where you said no to that yourself? I'm too busy, or at one stage in your life,
No.
Okay.
No, I'm a learner. I have passion for learning and growing. If I come back in time, I don't remember a moment where I haven't been studying or educating myself. This has been my path when I'm truly passionate about growth, and I do believe that we can thrive also on growth mindset. And by the way, this will be one of the topics we're going to discuss in one of the coming episodes about how growth mindset and thriving are interconnected.
Okay. And so that's nice for the listeners to get some insight into where we might be heading. And it's fascinating. And the juxtaposition of thriving and being on purpose. It's wonderful. I can't think of anything more interesting and more exciting. And I think the listeners have so much to look forward to. And is there anything more you want to say in this introductory episode? It was just great to get to know you. Is there anything about Elena Hinova that we don't know that you're prepared to share related to this fascinating journey? Because I've enjoyed this so much today.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, maybe what they don't know about my passion for music and especially jazz, and perhaps they don't know that I have recorded my first single.
No way. Really?
Yeah, and
really?
One of my dreams is to have my own album someday.
Wow.
And, that's
You recorded a single, and what's the name of the song? It's just so in case we get to hear it one day.
Yeah, you will not be surprised. It's called On a Roll.
On a Roll.
Actually,
wow.
I'm describing my pathway to that state of being on a roll, or as I call it, thrive. So,
but are you playing an instrument or singing, or what's your role in this?
I'm a singer, of course. Yeah, I'm the singer. That has been my dream. When I was a little girl, I was playing the piano for 7 years, and I was singing in a choir. And my dream was to become a jazz singer. And I think I'm living my dream now. That I would not make money with just singing, of course, but this brings me so much joy.
Could you imagine being on stage and actually performing in front of people, or do you see that as ever being possible? Or?
I'm humble, to be honest. I don't imagine that being on a big stage and performing.
But you're doing that now in a way. Doing this podcast.
It's really paradoxical, because if I am to speak on stage, I would do that because this relates to my purpose and this is my belief. However, singing is not my purpose, but maybe they're interconnected. Who knows?
Yeah, but certainly there's harmony in singing. There's so many, and the joy of singing and dancing and just the romance and the artistic side of being a singer. Do you think that helps you with your work?
Definitely.
In what way?
I'm more aware, I'm more present. I cultivate this feeling of inner peace and joy. It just helps me immensely, because for me, music is the most important thing in life. Music and adventure, I would say. Because music is about connecting with self and others, for me. Having this universal language. No matter what language you speak, you can connect with people who have the same taste for music, and you can experience together the emotion. And it's connectedness. That's the key word. And adventure is another side of me. I love to try different things that are a little bit risky. Like,
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, like doing paragliding or rafting or rock climbing or skiing. I'm not extreme in skiing.
And growing up in Bulgaria, you've got access to all of those opportunities with the mountains and the Black Sea. And it's an amazing country.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country. It's beautiful, beautiful nature. We have lots of mountains, and I grew up in the mountain, and I love the mountain. This is my place where I connect better with myself, and I'm creative, and I also do a lot of hiking and skiing, so I definitely love the mountain.
A busy lady. Wow. And which genre of music? I mean, is it rock and roll, or what sort of music is your style for singing?
Yeah, jazz. It's jazz. Jazz is my favorite style. And I feel it resonates with my nature, because jazz is about variety and freedom.
And who are a couple of your favorite performers in jazz?
Definitely the first and number one is Diana Krall. I really like Nora Jones, of course, Aretha Franklin, and
what do you like about Diana Crawley? How do you describe her music? And
she's just amazing. First of all, she's a great pianist and at the same time, the way she improvises, if I may say so. This is unique. There is a lot of energy there in the way she's presenting the music, because she's presenting the jazz standards in a very different way. And I like the freedom and the courage she has to present these jazz standards in her own way, to make these songs her own in a way, because they're not her own, but she makes the songs her own by the way she's presenting them.
Have you ever seen her perform live? Or?
Unfortunately not, but this is one of the things in my bucket list. So I definitely want to see her performing live.
Gee, no, that would be amazing. I once had the opportunity to see Frank Sinatra, and I thought,
wow.
I know, but then, I'll wait till next time. There wasn't a next time, you see, because he passed away. So in life, sometimes you've got to grab the moment, don't you, when you have an opportunity to do something.
I do believe, and I do hope that the world will normalize soon, so that we can really travel and enjoy concerts and performances, because this is also how we experience life and how we grow. So this is very important.
Because it is easy to put something off till next time, isn't it? And if you've got any advice for listeners about how you make the decision whether to take the leap and do something or not, whether it's a vacation or...
Yeah, that's another tool. I was talking earlier about saying a beautiful no, and now my advice is say yes to life. Just act upon this. Enjoy life, be spontaneous, nurture the inner child, do crazy things, because this is how you really experience life.
But I think I was someone that used to automatically say no, but what you're saying is, and then worry about if I should do it or not. But do you say yes first and then figure out whether it's...
Yes. Okay. As I said, this is part of my nature to be adventurous. If I feel I want to do that, I just do it.
Well, I think that's a wonderful way to finish this opening podcast of this amazing series, Thrive on Purpose, and we look forward to so much more in the coming episodes. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Elena Hinova. It's been our privilege.
Oh, thank you so much, Bo. This was a lovely conversation. Thank you for your wonderful questions. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Thrive on Purpose podcast. If you're ready to embark on a transformational journey, you're most welcome to engage in a one-on-one conversation with Elena on the website thrivingleadership.net.